First, I would like to thank everyone from Solana, the president herself, Lily, to obviously making this happen and inviting us, the SwissBorg team, to Solana Breakpoint. I want to thank as well Danielle and, of course, all the key contributors, the Solana's community for building and for trusting it and to bringing us here today. When you think about Amsterdam itself, actually, 400 years ago, it was one of the places that created the first bank, the first financial institution that changed the game of how we interact with money. But actually, 30 years later, if you think about it, it has created one of the biggest bubbles as well of all time, which was the tulip crisis in the 17th century. Today, with SwissBorg and with Solana, the idea is to really try to understand how we are going to change the game together. One of the really important things that I would like to have here is get some energy from the crowd and try to create something unique and special. When I say O, you guys say POS, okay? Is that okay with everyone? So when I say O, you say O, O, with SwissBorg, obviously. So why OPOS with SwissBorg, and how can we together end the cartel of CEX? Right now, you're probably thinking, okay, is SwissBorg the FTX, and are we that the new FTX? It's obviously not. We're not the new CEX, and we're not the new FTX. That's something that we have to understand right away. And then more importantly, when we talk about CEX and we talk about this guy, there's definitely something different if you look at myself. Do you all agree on that, I hope? The funny story here about SBF and myself is that we actually did talk a lot, and we did never get to be aligned on many different things. And the difference is that he always wanted to take it all, and I just love Solana. But I don't just love Solana for a long time, actually. I love Solana just recently. A lot of different people have actually brought to me how Solana is very different as an ecosystem. And for that, I really want to first thank our CTO, Nicolas Raymond. Are you here in the crowd or not? Yeah, at the DeFi SwissBorg team, are you guys there? Thank you for this. Obviously, the Camino guys are here, and other people actually brought to me to show how Solana is different and how Solana is really creating something unique. Because when you think about Solana in the 2019-2020, it was something really good. But what Solana went through, I think so in 2022, was a really great stress test to see if Solana was going to be one of the next greatest community, one of layer one that will actually change and decentralize the world, which I strongly believe today in. So why is CEX not sexy anymore? This is something very important, right? Well, a CEX is not that exciting because essentially it has a central authority around it. More importantly, what it does have as well is that it has a lot of opacity regarding how the governance happens regarding these different CEX. So for example, SwissBorg, we did our ICO in 2017, right? So a long time ago. And despite that, there's a lot of different CEXs that have never listed our token. And you never really understand what is the token rules besides very often you require a lot of money to get listed on CEXs, right? There's as well the stablecoins war. Like what we know very well, there's a lot of different stablecoins, and behind the stablecoins war is essentially a lot of different centralized exchanges do make a lot of money on it, but the user doesn't. And essentially it's really hard to understand who has a political bias on this stablecoin or on the other one. There's obviously the blockchain wars that go with this. Yesterday, I think so Toli and many other peoples have talked about something that's really revolutionary that you all guys know, which is that hopefully in the future, we will have Visa that will take Solana as a backbone and be able to have a payment system. What if I tell you today that SwissBorg is actually using as backbone Solana for trading? So when you think about this, is that this beautiful face here, okay, It is the SwissBorg community. It's a million users that are mostly European that are extremely happy about offering and getting into financial freedom. But this beautiful long hair behind, this is the Solana's ecosystem, and this is how things get traded through Solana, essentially. So when you think about this, the greater thing is that actually people are using blockchain, and even more importantly, what you can think about that is that you actually have the trading that's happening on SwissBorg is actually bringing transaction to Solana that's fulfilling as well the decentralized financial applications of the trading volume on Solana. So I think this is something that's very, very different from any other essentially ecosystem that we have on different CEXs. So what is SwissBorg? Very often we say, oh, well, SwissBorg is a centralized exchange, but it's not. It's something very, very different to that. What it is essentially, it's when we are a combination of aggregating FX, CEX, but as well DEXs. And this is where it gets very interesting, okay? So we today have over 16 different chat gateways. So we're one of the really good ones for on-ramp and off-ramp with any type of local currency. We have aggregated the best CEXs as well. Now we just have added the really fantastic DEXs with Solana. And there's here a lot of different logos that you guys could look at that are changing the game on Solana's network. Right now, we talked a lot about how are we changing the game with SwissBorg on Solana. But what if I tell you we have one of our smartest, brilliant engineer here that is not only talking about what's happening on Solana, but has been building essentially our MEX. And for this, I welcome Antoine, our senior DeFi engineer.
So why OPOS? Tolly shared yesterday the Solana ethos, which is to reduce the latency and to increase the throughput. If we want to use Solana as our trading backend, I can say that we're very much aligned with this vision. Many devs have been complaining on Twitter, spreading FUD, that Solana was an unreliable blockchain, that it was always down, but actually this is not true. Solana's uptime has been 100% over the last 9 months, so we do think that it is reliable enough. We considered also some other blockchains, L2s, like Arbitrum and Optimism, but if you want to swap some tokens there, you will already get a 30 or 40 cents gas fee. If you want to be competitive on trading, this is not possible, and that's where the very low gas fees of Solana are amazing. Finally, the developer community of Solana and the infrastructure tools are now very mature. So we can use very high performance RPC, for example, with Helios. There's also native USDC support on Solana, which is amazing. And the last point is that our crypto custodian, Fireblocks, supports Solana transfers and contract calls, which means that we can still use Solana without making any compromises on security. So DEXs are a bit different from CEXs, but not that much, in fact. So we have a lot of experience integrating CEXs. We already have 5 of them in our SwissBorg app. And what you usually find is a standard fix API, which is something from TradFi, to integrate new CEXs quite quickly. Obviously, in DeFi, you have no standard. There's some different implementations. Usually, there's very little developer docs. And we also need to rethink the liquidity management. So it was a real challenge for us, but one that we wanted to take. So actually, from day 1, we will be able to support a wide range of DEXs types on the SwissBorg app, most notably CLOB, AMM, and CLAMM. So we wanted to share a little bit on our experience coding with Solana, because some parts were fun and some parts were a bit less fun. First thing is that, although it's not a catastrophic issue, managing different anchor versions is not fun. Probably some of you have experienced this in the room as well. But we've also been able to leverage some unique features of Solana, such as PDAs, that we use to scale our markets management. So adding a new market on a DEX or another one, removing one, updating some informations. This is something that would have been a bit harder to implement, for example, on an EVM. Finally, one more challenge, which was fun, was that SwissBorg backend is actually built in Scala. And we had the choice to either port the ROS code to Scala or to do a GNI integration. And I can say that the latter works very, very well and allowed us to make a great implementation.
So one of the great things that we've been very excited since the last 8 years with crypto is essentially ICOs and listing. They go very much together, right? In 2017, so 2015 to 2018, which was our generation of ICOs, and by the way, we're still alive after 7 years, so that's maybe something quite cool, and where you see a lot of projects probably nowhere here. We see that essentially back in those days, you had something that was quite transparent, the model itself, which had pre-sales that usually community know what it was about, and then you said ICO was quite transparent, and then there was a listing thing which was quite opaque. Did that change, Antoine, after?
Yes, then came the DeFi way. So you still have a VC backing, which is opaque, and that will probably remain as is. But projects could do a transparent launchpad, allowing people to invest in their tokens early, following with a transparent listing on a DEX. But then you still kept the CEX listing very opaque, with some tokens being listed on major exchanges, while some of the tokens that were in this period are still not listed on CEXs, and we don't know why.
Right. And then after in 2022, so we went to some, again, something that was more VC-backed than essentially listing on CEXs that was very opaque, and it was really hard to pretend to see what was behind it. And there were some airdrops that went with that, and that was the corporate way in 2022. But can we do something better, Antoine?
Yes, we can. We're introducing today the MEX way. So you can keep your VC backing, obviously, because most of the projects still need it today. But what we propose is that first you do a community pre-sale, for example, with SwissBorg Alpha. And then you can do a liquidity bootstrapping event, for example, an LBP on a DEX. That way you also have the DEX liquidity over there. And then SwissBorg has 3 conditions that you need to meet, which are fully transparent, and that Sile will explain in just one slide, to be listed on the SwissBorg app.
So essentially, the 3 different steps is that what we really believe is the community aspect. We believe that essentially it's never a one entity to try to figure out what is going to be the best project, but really community that gather together around an idea, around a mission that could form essentially a really cool way to bootstrap and to fundraise through different LPs. The step number 2, when they do that, is how to fill with the most promising, essentially Solana essentially decentralized applications, which could be, for example, done through a decentralized exchange such as Orca or a DeFi protocol through Camino. Once these LPs are able to form a big pool of the native tokens, but as well the Borg token, which is the SwissBorg token, that hopefully will get to Solana sooner or later. Is that happening, Antoine?
Yes, very soon.
Okay, let's hope. And then be able to get listed in a transparent way on SwissBorg. And I think so this is something that is really a game changer, because a lot of people, and talking, we know this, okay, in 2017, we're one of the biggest ICO, raised 52 million with 23,000 people in 149 countries. But actually this year, again, we did a really crazy Series A this time, just after FTX collapsed. But despite the markets, despite the market conditions, despite the mistrust in crypto, we still have today 17,000 shareholders that participated this year in our crowd equity funding, which was something obviously monumental and quite world record. So thank you, by the way, for those who have participated. And we think that this is exactly the same way this is going to create a big buzz for this new cycle, and it's going to be able to gather a lot of thoughts, a lot of great people within communities, but as well funding, which is obviously something that's very important to have a strong alignment on the future of these decentralized applications.
Indeed. And as of today, you can trade on the SwissBorg app, as of even right now, Solana and some other tokens, and your trade will be routed through Orca and Phoenix.
And again, which is making sure that you're using blockchain as really a transaction, not just a centralized exchanges, but you are actually trading on these different platforms and using the network itself. I must say that, of course, there's a lot of different projects that were on our radar. And for that, I want to just mention a few of them. There's Jito, obviously, that we could do already cool things through SwissBorg today. What are we doing with Jito, Antoine?
Today, you can already earn around 7% in the SwissBorg app investing in Jito Sold strategy with just a couple of taps on the application.
And there's a lot of other different projects that we haven't yet announced what we're going to be doing with that, but we really are very interested from them. And I'm sure there's a lot of different projects we have today at Breakpoint that will be hopefully coming in and partnering up with SwissBorg in a great way.
So these are some of the other projects.
And who's next is you guys. So whatever you're doing on the crowd, please let us know what you're doing. We'll be very, very excited about it. So why SwissBorg? So essentially, why is SwissBorg one of the game changers I would see here and how it's going to be good for projects? I think so you got the point. So when you trade through SwissBorg, you're essentially trading through DeFi protocols, which are on-chain on Solana. The second different thing is that today we have over 800,000 KYC users. And these KYC users, some of them are like you guys. They know really much about Web3. They're really crypto. They're really savants. And they do a lot of things already on-chain. But a lot of our users are your parents, are your younger brothers, or even your grandparents. And these people are going to be using essentially DEXs, they're going to be using Jito, they're going to be using a lot of different financial applications on Solana, but they'll not even realize it. And I think so this is exactly what we're trying to create at SwissBorg, is that unique user experience that is flawless. I think so what is really good as well is that we do have a very strong European community. For those in the US, sorry, we're not there, and I don't think so we're coming yet. But we do have a very, very big European community, and people that have already did our launchpad in the past few months have created a lot of noise, but more importantly, super users.
And then SwissBorg is also good for the users. First of all, we have the best on and off ramp in Europe. If you think you have a better one than us, wait for us at the end of the talk and let's do a competition because we think we will win. You can also now buy Sol at the best price, aggregating 5 different CEXs and 2 DEXs venue, with more to come soon. And you can go from fiat to any token in one click, as we will show in just 20 seconds. And as we said before, we have the best transparent yield, so we offer many earn programs, and we always tell the user how we generate the yield, and we're transparent on the APY.
We have actually big news, which is about to be announced. But before that, I just want to show you exactly how the SwissBorg, and within 1 minute with their credit card or a different local currency, you're able to deposit and actually be able to get into any Solana token without even realizing that you're actually using Solana as a backbone for our trading mullets, right? So here in this example, you see that with a credit card, I've deposited in some euros here right now. Their here has been transferred right away. When your account is being credited, then you can look for any different token. In this case, we'll go for Helium token. As you guys all know, what Helium is a great DPIN. And in this example, I'm just going to buy 5 euros, for example, of Helium tokens. The conversion is done right away. And the beauty that is behind it is that we have find the best price to get to buy your 5 euros of Helium token. But more importantly, we did that through centralized exchanges. In this case, the 5 euros were converted to GBP. The GBP were converted on Binance essentially into Sol. And the Sol were eventually converted on Orca to buy Helium tokens. So this unique way of doing this, it takes few milliseconds. and it's the best price that you get while using as a backbone Solana. I'm here today super thrilled to say again that Solana is changing the game, and we really hope that SwissBorg will be growing at the same time with Solana, of course. What can I say more? That I started with OPOS with SwissBorg. When I say O, you say POS with SwissBorg. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you.